What's that, Skip? Shauno's talking about Supercoach again. Let's go. G'day everybody, it's Shauno again, and I'm back with some more Supercoach content. Today we're going to be doing our round 13 trades and captains video, and where I go through what I'm going to do with my trades and also what's the best for you guys and girls out there in the community for your trades and your vice captain and captain choices. Before we get into that, don't forget to sub. Thank you so much for your support, everybody. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, like the video if you like the video, and leave me a comment down below telling me who are you trading in and out this week and who is going to be your vice captain and captain. And one last thing, don't forget to join us for the live video on Thursday. And if you want me to feature your team up on the screen, join my Discord and pop your team in where it says post my team here. All right, let's get on with it. And as we do, as usual, we're going to do what my trades are going to be this week. And it's still a little bit up in the air, but at the moment we have one trade, Flanders out, Raul in. So, yep. So I'm getting Raul off his buy. This is what I think is the best buy strategy. Now, you could be thinking of it a few different ways, but I'm going to break it down for you here, what I think, and you can agree with me or you couldn't. If you pick up a player after their buy, like a Raul or a LDU or a, say, a Noah Anderson or a Jordan Dawson, which I think are the big midfielders, and we'll go through that in a second, but I think they're the four big midfielders, so I've got a choice out of one of them. For me, Raul is the cheapest, but getting one of those guys is going to be better than getting, you know, a Bailey Smith or someone like that, just for the reasons that they're going to play that one extra game. So they are, for the rest of the season, they're going to score one, hopefully, primo score more. Now, the only reason, if you think by the end of the season, Bailey Smith will catch Raul in those points, then I think it's a fair pick. But if you're picking someone who you don't think is going to do that, I can't really, you know, if I pick an any on example, let's say you're picking Zach Merritt, and you don't think he's going to score that much than Raul, they're going to score about the same amount, then it's probably a bad pick. So maybe Bailey Smith wasn't a better example because he's one of the top liners. Maybe he is one that can break the rule, but I'm pretty confident in my strategy that you really should be picking up people who are coming off their buys this week. Even if they're quite cheap. Last week we made the exception for Wilkie, but I think that was the last week I'm going to do that. And then nobody else. Like, I would love to get Holmes in my team, but with he's got that buy coming up, that last buy, I'm just going to have to wait to the last of them, till we pass that buy. So I'm sorry. And so me getting Raul this week, it does give me a plan for next week. Is if hopefully we have a 99k rookie or two appear, I should be able to get from either a Lindsay or a Marshall up to Ash. Now, Lindsay's going to plummet money this week. Hopefully he has a decent score. He's still got a roundabout a good roll, and he got a 59 last week, and he had quite a few clangers, and the weather was just terrible over here in Perth. So I still think he can get a 70 or 80. He's still going to probably lose even if he does that 20k. I think his break-evens are 116. If he gets a 71, he's going to lose 20k, and I think that's pretty likely. He could even go less, but he also could go more. So, you know, I'm thinking that it's a risk. If he came out and got a 40 or something, it could really lose a lot of money, but I don't have much choice. The only other choice would be get rid of him this week. And if I was going to do that, and for you guys and girls out there are going to do that, so let's have a look at the rookies on the bubble this week. So there's not too many that I'm interested in. If we go down, the only one, Bailey McDonald, I think there'll be a bit of interest from this and the community. His job security is what worries me. You've got, you know, I think Scrimshaw can come back soon. You've got Perez smashing in the VFL. I'm just worried about this. If someone could tell me he was going to play for the next, you know, to the end of the buys to round 17, I'd snap him up. But I'm just not sure if he will. But if you have to do a downgrade from to someone in the back line, maybe that gets you a Lindsay up to, and again, we'll get to the defenders, but I don't think there's any defenders that are coming off the buys that I like either. And so I'm not prepared myself to go like a Lindsay up to a Holmes with his buy coming up. If he loses a bit of money, he loses a bit of money. I'm not going to like it, but I'm just going to have to deal with it. If you could get off him this week for, a gun midfielder who's coming off their buy, or a forward line through, guy, through your DPP, then maybe I would endorse that. Anybody else out there? I don't think there's too many others that we're really going to be discussing here. I thought there's Tommy A. Tommy A is a forward, so if you need a forward, he's probably your best forward option. It doesn't look like he's going to be a big scorer, but if you just need a heartbeat on the field, then maybe he's the way to go. As for midfielders, I don't think there's really any that I'd be considering. So the rookie cupboard is a little bit bare, and this is why I'm going to suggest something that might not be a good idea for you, but could be something I might do. If one of these 99k rookies is named this week, I might just go there. Certainly if they're named next week, or they play this week and next week, I'll definitely be going there. But the ones I really hope, I kind of hope Melbourne give this Joel Fitzgerald guy a run, or maybe the Eagles can give one of their guys a run, even though I got a feeling the Eagles probably won't. I hope they make me eat my words, just because they've got other people coming back. Also, they've got Starcevic, I think his name is, who used to play for Brisbane, who we got in this year, will be coming back. Hopefully that won't affect Lindsay's score even more, or even get Lindsay has a rest. Even though if Lindsay had a rest, I wouldn't complain too much, because at least then he wouldn't lose any money, right? So that's almost besides having a covering player, that's almost a best case scenario that Lindsay gets a rest. Anyway, so the 99k players, if they come in this week, I wouldn't advise it. I'd advise at least having a look at him for 1 week, but I might do it. I could potentially get a 99k. If two 99k players came in this week, I could get one this week and potentially get an LDU, and another one next week and potentially get a Lockie Ash. So depends on how it helps your team. But again, don't get too wrapped up. They might only play 1 or 2 games and be out again. There's no guarantee that they're going to be a McCarthy of last year. So anyway, let's have a look and see who else is available. So they're the rookies. If I've missed any rookies, let me know, but I can't really think of too many others. There's none there which really taking my fancy, and I don't like any of them. The Tommy A, don't know so much what his job security is like, but if he's named, you'd think he's probably better in that Port Adelaide team than what is the Hawthorn defender guy, who, Hawthorn don't seem to play their rookies for very long. All right, so if you need, should we start for the forwards? Because that's going to be one that, with Flanders being taken out with an injury, you're going to be looking at getting a forward. And like I suggested, I think you really want to look at people coming off their bye. So if you haven't got Sheasel or Petrarca, if you haven't got Petrarca, it's probably time to get him now. You can also wait a week, but if you want that extra player on your field right now, what's his break evens? 120. So he's not necessary right now, unless you're like me and you're trying to win your leagues. If you're trying to win your leagues, it's probably a good idea to get him now. I think Tuke Miller is a 80 to maybe a 110 score on any week. Pretty reliable. It's got a high floor. I think he's not a bad pick. He's not going to give you 130s and 140s pluses, though, I don't think. Jason or Francis, he had a good week last week. I have been an owner, though, for the weeks before where he's been getting 70s. So, again, if you wanted to go there, you could, but his record isn't great. He got 120 out last week, great. But then before that, he went 60, 74, and 75. And before that, I thought he was turning it around because he got a 119 and a 112. So there's no guarantee this 128 means he's turning it around, but he is an option. At his best, he is definitely right up there with one of the top forwards, but I can't say that he's at his best at the moment. Jai Simpkin, surprising. He's very cheap. Very cheap. him again, he looks like he's got a whole stretch of these 70s and 80s, so I probably wouldn't be going there. I definitely wouldn't be getting a Josh Rochelle, even with rank out. He doesn't seem to be getting the CBAs that we all hoped. If rank came back this week, would I get him? What's his break even? 137? No, I don't think I would. And I'd give him, coming off injury, I'd want to see him for at least a week. I'd want to see if he gets those CBAs or if they put him in cotton wool balls, as they say, or, you know, as they rest him up a little bit and take away his CBAs. So if you're looking for a forward, I don't think coming off the buys, I think they're the ones. I don't think I'd be looking at any others. Like I said, I'm not really going to go on to future guys because I'm not looking at them, and I don't think a lot of you crews should be looking at, people coming, in with a buy coming up. So I'm only really going to look at these ones if it makes a difference of you getting the best of the best. That's fine, but I think both Sheasel and Petrarca are the only ones we can really call the best of the best in this round. Even Cozzy Pickett, I don't think I'd be getting him. He's a bit up and down, and I think you can wait after his buy if you don't already have him. All right, so yep, there's not a lot of choice out there for your man Sam Flanders, but you do have some choices. Let's go. All right, so the ruck, obviously, there's probably, if you've still got McAndrew, I'd probably hold him for this week, even if you were thinking of getting Sherry. Sherry's still quite expensive. He's got a high break even. I think he'll come down. He's had low time on ground the last couple of weeks, so just one more look at him and maybe get him at 20 or 30k cheaper could be a really nice thing to do. Again, if you desperately need him to win your league match this week, fine. But as an overall strategy, I think waiting a week or two could be the way to go. As for rucks, the only ones we really want are the big dogs, which are Sherry, Grundy, Gawn, and Jackson. I wouldn't be getting any other rucks in at one of those four this time of the year. And whichever one you like the most, I'll be waiting to after the buy to get them. But so if you got McAndrew, I think it's fine to keep him for another week or so. You've already kept him through his buy, so you might as well let him cover you for a couple more weeks until you decide which ruck you're going to get. Plus, if you're using him as R2, you've got freed up that flex position to move around your team until the end of the buys, which might help you navigate some trading and some, getting players on the field that you want on the field. All right, so the mids of the world. So most of us will probably have a Zach Butters. We talked about it. LDU is a very good pick. If I could afford a little bit more than my Matt Rowell money, I'd really be thinking about LDU. Actually, I think all of these guys, I think LDU is a really good pick. I think Noah Anderson is showing he's got some form back, so I also think he could be a really good pick as well if he recaptures the form of last year and continues on like the last 3 weeks. He must be one of the top midfielders in the last 3 weeks. Going at scores are 145, 134, and 126. I'd say his 3-round average could be the highest in the game. Not sure about that, but I think it must be pretty close. So their scores worth, looking at, and I try not to be biased because I had him and I sold him, but I think he's a pretty good buy. Pity we didn't get him back at 500k or whatever he got down to, but I still think he's good. Both him and LDU, I think, are really good. And the other one is, obviously, we talked about Matt Rowell, who I also think is a very good pick. He's a little bit cheaper. We saw what he did last year after the buys. I was one of these lucky people. I bought him in at like 450 last year, and he was absolutely brilliant. He was one of my best players in the end of the year. I'm still not sold on the game style this year that it's the best for these contested beasts. Plus, he's got Petrarca in the team, so he has to share the contested possessions with him a little bit. But I still think he can be a very solid scorer, and he does have a high ceiling. He can smack you out a 140 on a 150 on any particular day. So I do like Matt Rowell, and there's only one other that we talked about, but I can't see him. Jordan Dawson, there he is. So I also think Jordan Dawson is a very good pick. Going at He's scored hundreds for the last 4 rounds, and out of the last, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of the last 7, he's only got one score less than 100, which was an 80. So I think he's also a very good pick. Both of those, I'd say the 3 expensive ones are the more reliable ones. But I'm pretty sure Rao can do just as well as them. He is a Brownlow medalist, so I think he can put up the same scores, but the other guys might be just a little bit more reliable. The scoring, they have a little bit more avenue to score, and I think the game style this year might suit them a little bit more. So I think if I was looking for a midfielder, they're the only 4 that I would be considering this week. I wouldn't be thinking about anybody else. Then if we go through to defense, now here I have to admit I don't like anybody. Now I kind of like Wayne Malera, but I'll show you why I don't like him. I like him, but I don't. So if we go to DFS and we look for kick-ins and we go to Adelaide, so he is dominating the kick-ins, him and Worrell most weeks. Now the problem with that is you've got, go back to last year, the guy that dominated kick-ins was Mark Keane. And then Worrell and Wayne Malera were both taking kick-ins at the same time, but they were taking a lot less, and Mark Keane was taking the most. And I believe the injury list is not out yet. I'm doing this on Tuesday day, but as of last week, I believe he's not very far away. So he's a leg and he's 1 week, so he could even be playing this week. And if not this week, maybe the week after. So before I pick Malera and before I pick Worrell as well, I want to have a look and see how he fits into the mix of that team, and if that's going to have a massive, effect on their scores. If I knew he wasn't coming into the team for the rest of the season, I'd be hot on Malera, and I might even take a chance of Worrell, but Malera would probably be my man. But yeah, with Keane coming in, I think it's a very risky pick, so I don't like it. Luke Parker was leading the defenders for a while, and he's kind of really dropped off. And you can't really trust, what's going on down there at North, as in who holds their what position. So I think he's a skip for me too. If I knew he was going to have that back, pick it up role, I would, I'd pick him in a heartbeat considering what he did early in the season. But I mean, his last scores, let's have a look. So, he started the season on absolute fire, like smashing out big hundreds. And then for the last 3 weeks, he's gone, or 4 weeks, he's gone 66, 94, 99, and 73. Not a score over 100. So when I'm trying to fill out my team and I want the best of the best defenders, I don't think I'm going to be considering him. And then like we talked about Worrell, I'm worried about what Keane's going to do to him. And then there's just nobody. There is nobody back here that I like, which is a bit unfortunate because I would love to get rid of Lindsay for somebody. What about Rory Laird? Could he be? He's another one. Yeah, so I don't really like anybody in defense. So if you're, if this is the one that if you're getting rid of Lindsay this week, who are you getting? Are you just getting a Max Holmes for later on, or you're saying damn the buys, or are you getting an Archie Roberts because he's come down a little bit? He's another one that's scores haven't been up to, had that super hot streak and then has not, continued on with it. Like if we take away the buys, Max Holmes, I think after his buy, but that's quite a few away, so I'm going to have to cop any scores, and so will you. So Archie Roberts is down to 540. So, and what's his break even now? 152. So potentially you could pick up Archie Roberts after his buy for around 500k. I believe his buy is next week. We've got this little buy thing here. If you'd like a copy of this, go to my Discord. So next week, no, it's the week after. So you'd have to wait to round 16 if you wanted to get him in, which is fine. So he'll probably be around that between 500 or 540 mark. Same week, you've got Blakey there as well. There were a few others players I had a sneaky consider it. I was thinking that potentially Tom McCarthy has gone down and had some good scores recently. I could go straight up to in one trade to Tom McCarthy from Lindsay, but he's got a 108, a 117, a 44, a 107, and a 108, a 76, a 117. So he's had a couple of bad scores there, but he's got hundreds every other score. So the reason I didn't go him is because when I looked at the kick-ins for the Eagles, he only took one last week. He has kind of been playing. Nope, that's the wrong year. Let's try and get the right year, Shauno. He only took the one, but before that, he's been almost the dominant guy in the back line with Lindsay. So he's also kind of been playing a bit of wingy type of role. So kick-ins and wing I can live with. Kick-ins and no wing. So as you can see, he's not holding back there a little bit. He's running, running forward down those wings. And I think, well, let's look at the other score. Where the 59, he just didn't seem to get the ball very much here. It's a bit weird, this one. So, but I still think there could be a sneaky pick for someone. If you need to go a like for like, and you're pretty good on that buy, and it's a pretty good buy, as a lot of people don't have a lot of people out there, I think it's a sneaky pick, but it's one that if I did that this week, I wouldn't be able to get Ash next week. And if we have a quick look at Mr. Ash, I believe he's back in the back line. Let's have a look at kick-ins. He took 8 last week. Whitfield only took 4, and he took 6 the week before. That was when Whitfield wasn't in the team. So he's back to that kind of back role. And we saw what he did at the beginning of the season. If we look last time, Whitfield's always taken the most kicks, but when he plays that back role, at the beginning of the season, he smacked out, 136, 130, 100, 100. And then, a couple of 90s and an 80. And then they played him in the defense bit. And last week he got a 119. So I think Ash is a very good pick for next week at his really reduced price of 100. I think he's 509K. So that's who I'll be going for next week, thinking that he could definitely be a top 6 defender for that price. So I think that's all the defenders crew. Like I say, that Tom McCarthy one's a really risky one, and I don't know if I'm not really recommending it. It's just one that kind of caught me out. And there is another one in the forward line too. Now, it doesn't fit the buy off the buy structure, but there's a few, forwards here. I'm tempted, if you wanted to make some money off the Flanders pick, there's quite a few here. But I'm even tempted to go back to the 3-round average. Where is he? I'm tempted to go back to Jagger Smith. I've already had him. I've sold him. Now he's got a different role change. He's getting 50% CBA since the new coach came in. And since that's happened, he's got a 79, a 108, and an 81. Not the best scoring in the world, but for a forward, it's not too bad. Plus, he's got the DPP action. So, at 400K, he's cheap. If you want a bargain basement, he's pretty cheap. And if you've still got him, just hold him. I think just hold him. Who else? So there's nobody else. I kind of tried to warn people about Bailey Williams. He can have these 70 scores. There's nothing besides him playing very well, which I'm enjoying as an Eagles supporter. There's nothing says to me that enough has changed that he is not going to have, these 70s or 80s are going to be a lot more regular than 130s he got last week. He might bring up his score a little bit to closer between the 70 to 100, which is, if I'm thinking about, Jagger Smith, maybe I have to think about him as well, but Jagger Smith is 70K cheaper. Let's just put it that way. Up until a couple of weeks ago, he played pretty much, a lot of games, 60s, 70s, 80s, had 2 really good weeks, 147, 136. Then he played Essendon, who have been a bit restricted to rucks, but then he's got Port, North, Carlton, Adelaide, Western Bulldogs, all got decent rucks, which I don't think he's going to be able to, dominate like he did in those other matches. So Hopefully he didn't go there last week. Definitely don't go there this week. The forwards that we want are coming up off their buys. Like Riley Sanders looks really good, but he's expensive. And again, I want to see Libba in the team before I pay 515. I think you can get a decent forward for 450k, even if you did like Tim Kelly. It's 450k. You know, we looked at Tuke Miller, it's 450k or 470. I think you can get a decent forward to 400 to 450. Spend up in your midfield and your defense, where the players are more likely to smack out a 120 to a 150. Where these forwards, when they get you 105 or 110, that's their ceiling scores that you're pretty happy with, unless you're someone like a Zach Bailey or a Shea Bolton, where 1 week you'll get a 70 and the next week you'll get 130. So, crew, I think that is enough about the old trades. Let's go into the captain and vice captain choices. Now, for me, I think there's only two options for me. I either go Butters into Grundy or Gawn, or Grundy into Gawn. That's if Grundy is named. Butters has a pretty good record against the Eagles. Maybe they send the Hoff tag to him. Maybe they don't. I think I'm still waiting for a spike score out of Grundy. I paid $1 million for him. He hasn't delivered yet. He's got me a 90 and he's had a week off. So hopefully he's nice and rested after his week off and I might give him a go. So that's what I'm thinking for my team. For you guys out there, you got Adelaide versus Geelong. So Bailey Smith, definite option, vice captain of him for sure. Hawthorn versus Western Bulldogs. Bont doesn't have the best record. If we have a look at it, against Hawks, 84, 101, and right back in 2024, he got a 142. But earlier this year, he got a bit of attention, I believe, and only got an 84, so maybe they'll do that again. So I don't think I'll be going Bont. North versus Freo. I am a Jackson owner, and against Sherry, I'm not too sure. I think they might equal each other out, so I don't think I'll be going there. I wouldn't be picking any other Freo players. Maybe an LDU, but maybe someone goes to him. So, again, I don't love anyone in that match. Gold Coast versus Brisbane. Again, Dunkley's going to go to someone. So, if you've got a Rowell or Anderson, you're not too sure who he's going to go to. So, even a Petrarca, there's always a potential he goes to him as well. So I think don't love any of the Gold Coast guys, and Brisbane are in a bit of a form slump, so I don't really love anyone from them either. So then you got West Coast and Port. Like I said, I think Zach Butters is a pretty easy pick here. He absolutely destroyed us in the preseason, and then during the season, he managed to get a very nice 126. And last year it was a 154. So I think he is one of the best picks for vice captain or captain this week. You've got Sydney versus St Kilda. Well, I'm going Grundy. If you've got Heaney, maybe, and you can go after Heaney's huge score last week. Maybe you can have a go at him. Maybe Ross, the boss, might put some attention into him. It's hard to miss from last week. If you can shut him down, you're obviously going to make Sydney, they're going to have to score and get the movement of the ball in other ways. So it makes sense to kind of tag him, but will he or won't he? We don't know. Essendon versus Carlton. Maybe you could have a sneaky go at Archie Roberts. See if he could have a comeback game in this game. Maybe go vice captain on Psycho Butters, and if he doesn't work out, go into Archie Roberts and hope he is, he comes back into form. I don't love picking players that aren't in form for the captain, just because you never know. I'd prefer to see a player that's, in a little bit of a hot streak. And then you've got Collingwood and Melbourne. I think you can both use fallbacks as Dacos and Gawn here. Dacos hasn't been lighting the world on fire, but I think he is still pretty good to get you over 100 most weeks. And Gawn, especially if Heath isn't named again, he's very close to getting a big score without Heath in the team. I thought he might have gone bigger last week. He got a 118. I think he's pretty dependable to get that same score again as a minimum if Heath isn't in the team. If Heath is in the team, maybe I still go for it, or maybe I try and pivot myself to somebody else. I think if Heath's in the team, I go Butters into Grundy, and if Heath's not in the team, we go Grundy into Gorn. So that's my idea for captains. I hope that helped you out a little bit out there in the community. And we're not going to go on too much longer. That's all we've got for you today. So before we get out of here, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Like the video and leave me a comment down below letting me know who are you trading in and who are your vice captains and captains. And last of all, like we said, live video on Thursday. Join my Discord. I'll put a link down below. Join the Discord, pop your team in where it says post my team here, and it will feature on that live stream. Anyway, crew, thank you so much for joining me, and I will talk to you all again very soon. Take it away, Skip.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust.